The Blackhawks snapped their 5-game losing streak with a 4-2 win over Montreal, led by Nick Foligno and Arvid Söderblom. Celebrate the win with us next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. Sarah's here running the show. Hawks win 4-2 over Montreal.
Yeah.
God, that was needed, man.
Yeah. It feels good to win.
It does.
Woo! All the Hawks problems are gone. Just like that. Yeah.
Well,
clean slate in 2025.
Sure. Let's go with that. I have to tell you, man, before we get into the game, this was the first time in a long time I was not looking forward to a hockey game. I don't care how many games they lose.
Yeah.
I don't care how bad it gets. Whenever it's game day, I'm always excited. Today I walked into the UC for the first time. I am just dreading what could potentially happen. And I tweeted before the game, I feel like the Hawks are either going to win big or lose big. I don't know if they obviously didn't win big. They won by 2, but I was very pleased with just their overall style of play today. They were physical. Yep. They were engaged. Yeah, Montreal was a better team, probably deserved to win. Arvid Söderblom made 38 effing saves, many of which were outstanding. But the Hawks came out and showed up today, and that's what matters, because that's what they've been lacking over the last 5 games is lack of showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lack of being ready to go, lack of being able to respond. And Montreal kind of forced their hand of physically, this game was probably as chippy as a game has been all year, as early as it has been chippy all year. I know some games have been, you get some extracurriculars late into a game as tension builds up. This one right off the jump had a lot of tension in it. You had the fight between Xhekaj and Maroon. Pat Maroon he's fine. He came back. He dangled a guy out of his skates, which was awesome to see, and he scored a goal. So it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
he's fine. That fight was not the highlight of the game for him, but they were kind of forced into responding, and you got the first goal of the game, which was great to see, and they built off of that. They didn't back down from the physicality. They came out with some jump ready to go. And you heard Nick Foligno say after the game when he was talking with Darren Pang on the broadcast, talking about how embarrassing the efforts have been the last couple of games and trying to turn a new leaf into the new year and, really give the fans a team that is going to play the kind of hockey that they deserve to cheer for. So, first showing of 2025 with that mentality, they got a passing grade.
Well, and I think, when we get frustrated after losses, look, we know this is not a good team. This is not a playoff team. This is not a contender by any means, but they're better than they've been playing. And I think when you see us get upset after games, it's not about the result. It's about the way the result was reached.
Right.
And the Winter Classic was about as embarrassed as I have been to be a Blackhawks fan based on an on-ice situation in a long, long time.
I mean, the kick in the nuts when you're face down in the gutter was the report that came out last night of, it was also the least watched Winter Classic.
Well,
maybe that
thank God
is actually good, but the 6-2 blowout, I think, probably factored into that, and the fact that this has been for the majority of the season a Hawks team that casual fans are very easy to just tune out of, and that's been the case the last couple of games. I think you see the fan reaction to the the games. You see the fan reaction to who shows up to optional practices. You see the fan reaction to post-game media from guys like Connor Murphy and Seth Jones and Foligno and Jason Dickinson. And, this is a team that the fan base is quick to start, airing their grievances. I know Festivus has already come and gone, but this fan base is ready to air grievances against this team for good reason. They have not given them anything to really cheer for.
You have to earn the respect of the fans, and I think the Hawks did a very good job of losing that respect and losing that benefit of the doubt by not only crapping the bed on the Winter Classic, but playing terribly in the 4 games leading up to it. And then, for whatever the reason might have been, that Seth Jones didn't meet the media. Maybe he was getting treatment. He is a guy fresh off an injury. Well, it could have been a lot of things.
In the Winter Classic?
What?
The Winter Classic game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know he was taking some heat for not coming out when they said he was going to.
Sure.
But fans don't, when things are going as poorly as they had been, fans don't want to hear the logical reason for it. No. They're pissed and they're out for blood. And again, you mentioned the optional morning skate. When people saw that there were only a handful of guys out there and they're all kids, that was a bad look for the team. Fortunately, they came out and performed tonight, and they can kind of dust that conversation off for one more day.
Clearly, all the vets just needed their rest. It's fine. They came out and won. It's all okay. You can put your Taylor Hall pitchforks away.
But it's the point being that when you have been playing as poorly as they have and looking as uninterested and checked out as they've looked.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to have anyone use logic and reason when trying to explain these things. I wrote about it a little bit today for ALLCHGO.com, where people were really upset that, like, Jonathan Taves and Nicholas Chalmerson and Marion Hosten, those guys weren't there for the
quarter
century team. I did some investigating today, and the league is responsible for that. They're the ones who sent the invites. They're the ones who accommodated ticket buys for alumni. The Hawks were not given, or the Blues were not given any allotments of freebies for alumni or anything like that.
It's hard to get snail mail out to India.
Yeah, it's just never as evil as it seems.
Sure.
But when things are going bad, everyone is going to go to the worst possible place, and it's logical. And I hope more efforts like this can dig them out of that hole they dug for themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mending with the fan base that this team, specifically the team and the players, and specifically the veterans, for the here and now, their efforts have to do with the fan base. And coming into this game, I kind of, as you were saying, like there really only feels like 2 different outcomes for this game. Either they respond and get a win, which luckily they did, or B, it's the same stuff that we've been seeing the last couple of games and they get embarrassed against Montreal. I, in my head, was kind of having a conversation with myself throughout the day of, if they go out and get embarrassed, I know the eye for the Blackhawks is on the future and the future is bright, but the here and now could be costing the Blackhawks fans and could be costing them goodwill for the future that is supposedly on its way and building under Kyle Davidson. So thankfully they got the win. I think it's a good step in the right direction, snapping this 5-game win streak, as bad of a 5-game losing streak rather. Snapping the 5-game losing streak as bad as it has been was like necessary. It was like it's like stitching up a deep cut. Like they needed to stop the bleeding in the here and now they can build upon this effort.
And I encourage you, if you did record the game, Mario mentioned it, but go back and listen to Nick Foligno with Darren Pang, because it's very apologetic. It's very tail between the legs. Like, we've been bad. We're sorry. We promise we'll be better. Right, that was kind of the tone of it, and it was right on. Sarah, can you scroll up a little bit? There's a comment I wanted to address as I'm talking about people going to the worst possible place. Keep going a little bit. Patrick Ryan, as I said, the league was in charge of inviting players. Patrick says, again, the league screwed up. Anyone shocked? I didn't say they didn't invite the players. They were the ones who were inviting the players. Whether or not the players chose to show up or not, that was up to them. Like, I know Corey Crawford was out of town. Nicholas Chalmerson lives in Sweden, as Marion Hossa lives in Slovakia. Like, it's the holiday. There's reasons maybe guys couldn't make it. It doesn't mean they were, but that's what I'm saying about taking it to the worst possible conclusion.
Right. Yeah.
It's not always that.
Yeah. And Brent Seabrook was coaching with Team Canada at the World Juniors.
Right.
Patrick Sharp
he's free now.
Well, yeah, now he is. Patrick Sharp's in a front office role with the Flyers. They might, without looking offhand, there's a good chance that they were also playing on New Year's Eve because there were 12 other games during the Winter Classic. And Patrick Kane is active with a different team.
Right.
Alex DeBrincat is active
Brandon
with a different
Saad.
team.
Yeah.
Brandon Saad, who had a hat trick tonight, was playing in the game
anyway
for the Blues.
He was there. You get the point. But Jocelyn Thibault was there, damn it. And he's right here on our set. He's missing his water bottle.
And so was Brian Campbell because he had to be.
All right, do us a favor. I forgot to say this. Please hit that like button for us. Always big crowds after the wins. Thank you very much. Please hit that like button for us. We'd appreciate that. If you're listening on the podcast, we love you too. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. We got to tell you about the 4th star of the game. You get to vote for them, and we'll reveal the winner at the end of the show. If I remember, 3rd star, Tyler Bertuzzi, with his 13th goal of the year. That is the team lead. He is tied with the likes of Zach Hyman, Matthew Tkachuk, David Pastrnak, and others in goals scored, 13.
As we all predicted.
Right? He's your 3rd star. Arvid Söderblom stopped 38 shots of 40. Very, very good for him.
Tied his season high, I think, in saves.
And Nick Foligno with a pair of goals, +1, 3 shots, 5 shot attempts, 2 hits, a fight, and 50% on his faceoffs. The Hawks, actually, they were up at one point. This game ended dead even, 50-50 in faceoffs, 23-23 for each team.
Hey, that's
a win.
That's a step up.
Take that
for the Blackhawks. Yeah,
take that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great night around for the team. Even the guys that maybe analytically weren't great, they still, I feel like across the board, most guys had a really positive impact on the game tonight.
Well, speaking of that, guys that were not analytically great, and somehow the stat machine is broken. Colton Dach is one of your candidates for 4-star. We could just probably start making the graphic right now, Sarah. He's going to win.
So. Yeah.
He was really good in his NHL debut. He played 11:05 in this game, did not record a point, but had 5 shots on goal and 5 hits, making his presence known. Your next nominee for 4-star, Ilya Mikheyev, playing on the top line with Connor Bedard, just did a lot of the little things right. 17-17 of ice time, 2 shot attempts and a takeaway, but was just very aggressive on the boards, very aggressive back checking and forward checking. Again, I don't hate the idea of him there. We can get to that maybe on an off-day show where Mikheyev really fits in well here. But I think he was very good at doing a lot of the small things right, both on a penalty kill and at even strength.
Yeah, I think that's where he's going to make his biggest impact, is a guy who can have those small details of the game covered and bring some speed. I know there was that stretch of games where he had like a 5-game goal streak or something like that, but I don't think that can be the expectation for Ilya Mikheyev. A game like tonight, I think, is a good benchmark for like what's a positive expectation for him, where he's impacting the game, he's effective on the penalty kill, he's using his speed to create chances. I think tonight's a good example of that.
And the next nominee for 4-star is Ryan Donato. The game-winning assist, a really nice backhand pass for him.
Really nice.
Also had 3 shots on goal and 4 shot attempts, finished +1, also credited with a hit. Just another kind of Ryan Donato game. In chat, we will talk about Lukas Reichel. Oh, my goodness.
We will. We'll talk about players who played in the game first.
We will. We promise we're going to get to Lukas Reichel. Holy moly. But Dach was just, I really like Dach's game. That's a guy who got the message and went out there, kept it simple, was a menace in front of the net, physical player. I said to you, I think it was in the second period, I said, there is nothing about Colton Dach that looks out of place, that looks inexperienced, that looks not ready for the NHL.
No. I think this was a wonderful NHL debut for him, despite what our friends at Hockey Stat Cards and the blue, purple, and green lines say. Let's dive into Dach's game a little bit more after the break zone, because we are up against the first one of the night.
Yes. And maybe you were jumping up and down, celebrating Nick Foligno's second goal. Maybe you were celebrating Arvid Söderblom making another unbelievable save. Well, you might need new floors then. So with Empire today, you can get them. And you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and their low price guarantee. We love their virtual floor designer. Sometimes I just sit at home and play with that. Yeah. Even though I'm not really in the market for floors, it's cool to see, like, what would a checkerboard floor look like in here? What are the
new and hip floor designs?
Yeah, it's a great way to see how new floors are going to look in any space in your house. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors are going to look. Empire prides themselves on convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop for floors where they use their floors so they can see exactly what their new floors will look like in their home's lighting and decor so they can make an informed decision. It's a big investment. Do it right. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
And hey, tonight was an exciting game. Blackhawks play next Sunday afternoon.
Rangers, 2:00.
Against the Rangers. That is a winnable game. And if you want to go see the Blackhawks play the Rangers Sunday at 2:00, do it with our friends at Game Time. You can get tickets through them and their new feature, Game Time Picks, which makes it easier getting tickets to any event that you want to go attend. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find your best value. Also want to, again, shout out Game Time for getting our pals Kevin Kadick, Greg Jr., and Cody Del Mendo into the Winter Classic. Those three had a great time, especially Greg Braggs. Game Time Picks, their curation makes it super easy to find tickets at the best value to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, etc., etc., etc. They also have the all-in pricing, which is a feature that shows you the total up front with no surprises, no hidden fees at checkout, and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. So if you find a ticket to the same game in the same seat on a different website and it's a better deal, you bring it to Game Time, they will give you 110% credit of the difference. That means you get the best price through Game Time and a little extra money in your pocket.
Nice.
So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHGO. You're going to get $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO, and get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
It's game time. Yes. All right, let's get to your super chats before we dive in on the numbers on Colton Dach. McLovin with a $10 super chat says, here's to a better year. Does Nazar have to play in order to buy a goal on his breakaways? Pay. Did I say play? Does Nazar have to pay in order to buy a goal on his breakaways? KD should chew the team out more. Doc bringing that big Doc energy. How long will this effort last? LFGH. You can do the acronym there for yourself. Nazar's going to score, man. That move today was...
He's got speed.
It's there. He's hit posts.
Yeah.
He's gotten really unlucky on a lot of his shot attempts. They're going to come, and I feel like when that first one comes, they'll start to come in waves.
I mean, you saw it when he made his debut at the end of last season. The kind of finishing ability he has, the speed he has, like it's there. It's just, this team has had a little bit of trouble finishing across the board. So hopefully a game like this can maybe spread across the team and give each guy a little bit of extra puck luck for the next few games. It's like one of those boost packs in EA Hut.
Yeah.
So it's like +5 finishing for the next 5 games. Like, that'd be nice.
Chris P, $2 says, do you believe Bedard's defensive game will grow? Yes.
Yeah, as he gets more comfortable at the NHL level and
bigger, stronger, faster, all those
gets
things.
more comfortable with defensive responsibilities. Yeah, it'll grow. Now, is he going to be a sulky winner? I don't think so.
No.
But I think as long as he's putting up the kind of offensive production that I think everyone expects him to in his NHL career, you live with him not being necessarily a sulky defenseman, i.e. Patrick Kane.
He is on a 5-game point streak, by the way. 6-game point streak.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
Career high.
Yep. And Colorado Zach, I'm assuming from Colorado, says, good debut for Dach. He performed as sold. One thing I was pleasantly surprised with was how quick his hands are. That reverse and pull-up back shot in front of the net in the first was impressive. Yeah, he's a skilled player. I think that, you see a big guy and he's not drafted as high as his brother, but the skill is there for Colton. He's not going to – I don't think he's a guy who's going to dangle through traffic and score spectacular goals now and again, but –
well, you wouldn't think Pat Maroon is a guy like that.
No, but he's got good hands, and when you got size and you got hands, that's a big part of what matters in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, Colton Dach had a good knack for goal scoring and putting up points in juniors. A lot of guys who get picked in the first and second rounds do that, but it has translated into the pro game in his time in Rockford, and I think he's one of these guys that has a well-rounded game. He's a guy that can play physical. He's seen it in juniors, seen it in the AHL, where he's a guy that will lay hits, play in front of the net, finish checks. He's a guy that'll drop the gloves, but he's also a guy that can set up and score and finish at those levels. So now it's up to seeing how much of that translates to the NHL level. And I know going out there and laying 5 hits in your NHL debut is a good way to make your presence known. I don't know if necessarily that's something to expect out of him every night, but it's a good way to start. And yeah, I just think as he gets more comfortable at the NHL level, I think some of those more of those aspects of his game will shine through. And Colton Dach is a guy that is really in that mold of young player, like a Connor Bedard, like a Frank Nazar, like these guys, these younger guys that come in and they have just kind of a self-belief in themselves. And I think what we saw in the time that Kirby Dach was here in Chicago was a young guy who kind of let the noise get in his head a little bit.
A lot.
And it affected the way he played.
And was certainly not ready.
Right. I think Colton is a different, I think he's got a different personality than Kirby, and it's a little bit more of a self-confident, self-starter kind of personality. And he's a little quiet in the room, but when he does talk and speak up, like he does not mince words, like he is a confident guy. You definitely get that from talking to him. So I don't doubt that he knows he had a good game and he knows he made an impact, and I think it's going to be very difficult to take him out of the lineup if he continues to play like this.
He is tired of Beefaroo. That's very clear.
How you get tired of Beefaroo? It's pretty decent.
It's fine. We had one more super chat. It was $2, and I lost the user, but he said, "Can we laugh at Canada?" There it is. Brother Seamus says, "Can we all laugh at Canada for losing yesterday?" Oh yeah, we have been. I was listening to 32 Thoughts today. And if you've not listened to 32 Thoughts today, there's a lot in there about the Blackhawks. So
sure is.
Including Elliot Friedman saying the Hawks should make a move for JT Miller. So I wrote about it today for allchgo.com. Check it out. But yeah, I mean, it is fun to laugh at your rival hockey nation's misfortune, but
yeah, of course.
Can we remember on social media that we're dealing with children?
Yeah.
Like these are 17, 18-year-old kids.
If you're going into anyone, especially these young guys that play in the World Juniors, but if you're going into anyone's social media DMs and personally threatening them and their families, and calling them horrific things, like
yeah, save that for me and Mario.
That's sure.
We're used to it.
Yeah, like that is a poor life choice on your part, and yeah, I mean you're playing in a high pressured situation. The hopes and dreams of a hockey nation are on your shoulders. I get it, but also yeah, these are 18 and 19-year-old kids. But I will say for Canada, they got no one. Their leadership at Hockey Canada has no one to blame but themselves for leaving some of the best players available off this team. Like
Misa and Zeev Buyum was left off, and
Buyum's American. You're thinking of Zane
Perek. Sorry,
Zane Perek, Andrew Crystal, like Beckett Senecki. Like, I don't know how you leave those guys at home, and especially when you have Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard, who were eligible that were never going to play for this tournament. Like, yeah, like you say, well, Canada didn't have their best players. Like, okay, but you also left some of them behind.
Yeah.
Well, so, yeah.
That's where the vitriol should go, to the leaders of the organization.
Speaking of the World Juniors, tomorrow, Yuri Felchman and Czechia take on Oliver Moore and Team USA in the semifinals for a chance to go play for gold. So that game, 6:30 p.m. On NHL Network in the States and anywhere that you can watch hockey in
every
Canada.
television,
every channel in Canada will have those games.
All right, well, a lot of super chats. We love you. We thank you. Let's get into the Colton Dach thing a little bit. Yeah. You had found a very interesting stat midway through the game, and then it seemingly changed towards the end. At the end of the second period.
Oh, yeah. So through his first 40 minutes, he had the highest individual expected goals for anybody on the team. He had the most individual chances for, and most individual scoring chances, most individual high danger chances, and the most shots. Well, he finished the game with the most shots and most hits. Third best individual expected goals rate at .58, only behind Tyler Bertuzzi and Nick Foligno, who actually scored goals. 5 individual chances, 3 individual scoring chances, and 3 individual high danger chances. He was everywhere, and I think it's something to be said for a guy that is, coming in and it's your first opportunity to play in the NHL, and you're part of this group that is looked at towards the future. I think he got the message loud and clear, and I think he's a guy that is going to make it very hard to take out of the lineup.
I also feel like, and I haven't had the chance to talk to him since he's been called up, but probably feels like this was maybe a little bit overdue. I know he's fought some injuries. I know that, he's had some chances, and then he kind of falls off. And before Sorensen was the Chicago coach, he was a Rockford coach, and he had been asked kind of like, what do you need to see from Dach this year? Mm-hmm. And he said that consistency, and he needs to play on that line every night where he's physical, making an impact without going over, without getting carried away, with still playing within his game. He's done that the whole year in Rockford, and we knew it was a matter of time before he was called up here. And boy, if you're Philip Kurashev, I think you're counting the days, man, until
your window is closing.
Yeah, the more you're not. Even though Nazar hasn't scored, he's done nothing to justify getting sent down. He's playing well.
Yeah. I think so. With Kurashev and Reichel sitting, I think Kurashev hasn't really been doing much to stay into the lineup. Reichel, I think we can open that discussion up in a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I forget who. I think Mark Lazarus might have said it, but it resonated with me of like, this might be like a Kako Capo situation where it's just like, I don't think I'm the one that's the worst out there getting scratched.
Correct.
For Reichel. And but I think we're seeing the Blackhawks in a spot here where, we're post-Winter Classic. We're counting down to the trade deadline, and there's clearly veterans on this team on expiring deals or with maybe one extra year left on their deal that you might say you're going to play a little bit more here, showcase your best hockey, because there's a chance you might be going somewhere else, maybe to a better contender, and then some roster spots are going to open up. But I think it's great to see that the young guys that are being put into the lineup are kind of forcing the hand of Anders Sorensen and Kyle Davidson of like, what are you going to do? Send them down? Like, they're outplaying some of these other guys, and they are pushing their way into the lineup, which is what you want to see from this young group as they get the opportunity to come up and play.
That was the idea, right? To bring in these vets to fill these slots until the deadline, until these kids prove ready. But I remember, I think it was me that asked Kyle Davidson in the preseason presser, like, you signed a lot of dudes here. Like, are guys blocked? Are prospects blocked? And he basically said, we're not going to allow a veteran to block a young player if we feel the young player is ready. Now, that seems counterintuitive to what is happening because Reichel is out, even though he's played fine.
Right.
But I think your point is correct. I think what's happening is it's showcase time.
Yeah.
It's, hey, you see that Pat Maroon dangle? You see that Pat Maroon goal? You see that fight with Arbor Jack Guy? And I know he got his ass kicked.
Don't pay attention.
But Jack Guy is a pretty bad dude in terms of heavyweights in the NHL. Like that's no, he's not fighting Cole Caulfield out there. That'd be fun though. That'd be funny.
Oh my God. I'd feel bad for Cole.
So I think you're, because look, Kyle Davidson, I know Ryan Whitney said it first, but I have confirmed it. Others have confirmed it. Kyle Davidson went to that locker room after the game and told the Blackhawks exactly how he felt about that game. And that's, to me, I would never expect him to do that.
Yeah.
But if there was ever a time for it, it was then. And I think you're right. I think it's get these veterans playing so we can get them out of here sooner than later. Mm-hmm. And they've got to be feeling that pressure too. With Dach's presence and Nazar and even Reichel is up in the press box, they know there's better players who have a future in this organization on their heels. So when they're in there, they better effing play and they better effing earn the time that they have. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on for the next 2 months here as the trade deadline approaches. All right, we got to hit the break zone one more time. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us, and we'll be back in a moment on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But we want to remind you about our good friends, my favorite friends at Sunnyside. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. It's a place where all kinds of visitors, from noobs to veterans, can explore and shop for a wide array of high-quality cannabis products. So if you're just starting out, it can be a little bit of an intimidating experience to walk into a dispensary. Not at Sunnyside. They make you feel at home. They make you feel confident what you're getting, and they will help you get exactly the experience you're trying to get. Or if you're one of those people that knows exactly what you want all the time, they're going to stay out of your way, and they're going to have everything you need. Go visit our friends at sunnyside.shop. Get your Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just enter that promo code HICHGO to take advantage of that deal. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
Hey, if you enjoy wagering on sports, do it with our friends at Circa. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois, and you only have a couple more games in college and pro to bet football, so jump on it. If you haven't done it yet with Circa Sports, it's the sports betting app the way that it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, not just pro and college football, but all your favorite teams. With spreads, props, futures, and in-game betting, Circa Sports has it all. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older, and if you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER.
That's correct. Go Irish. All right, a couple more super chats we got to hit.
We know how much you love your Irish on social media.
It's true. It turns me into an Irish weirdo. Windy City Hockey, $5, says, I've always liked Colton Dach's game. He said it twice. And glad he's finally in the NHL. We can all agree on that.
Yep.
Holly with $2 dues.
Those are euros, right?
Rupees.
It's a euro.
I don't know.
It's a euro, isn't it?
Holly says, first super chat to celebrate the Dach debut. Thank you, Holly. Here every show. We appreciate it. And Brandon says Söderblom should be the starter going forward. $5.
Oh, that's not a euro. What is that?
It's a franc. It's a dollar due. That's what I'm calling it. Where's she from again? England?
Yeah, the UK.
Pound?
Oh, it could be a pound. That's a British pound.
A pound.
There you go.
I like dollar due better.
2 British
That's Australia.
pounds.
Söderblom's a good place to chat before we get to Reichel, because I feel like Reichel's going to be a lot of the conversation.
Sure.
He's the starter.
Absolutely.
I think you go 3-1. I know they'll never do it.
No.
They'll never do it.
We'll do
And
2.
I hate this idea that because you're a veteran and because you make a lot of money and you're a goalie, that you have to like at least play one of every 3. Earn it.
This is a period of this season where you need to give yourself the best chance to win. Söderblom gives you that chance.
And to be clear, you're not talking about a playoff run. You're not talking.
No.
You're talking about a culture situation.
Yeah. Again, listen to what Nick Foligno said at the end of the game. Like, they are going out there to put their best foot forward and put on their best efforts and best show for the fans. And your best efforts and your best foot forward is with Arvid Söderblom in net most nights until proven wrong.
Yes.
Like, we were going through the numbers at the during the third period here. Peter Mrazek has lost his last 6, I believe it was 6 starts in a row, dating back to the end of November when Luke Richardson was still coaching this team. And I don't believe he had a save percentage above 900 in any of those games. And he got yanked against Buffalo, a team that you really should not have had that kind of performance against. And Arvid Söderblom is now won 4 of his last 6 starts, I think, off the top of my head. And he's been giving you the best opportunity to win in net. So I think moving forward, if you want to show the team that you are coaching to give them the best chance to win with lineup wise, it's by playing Arvid Söderblom more.
So he's had 3 games back since injury. So I'm going to tell you his last 6 full games. Mrazek. 3 goals allowed, 5 goals allowed, 4 goals allowed, 0. This is a Winnipeg game where he
That's the one where he got hurt.
And got hurt.
Right.
So it's 3-5-4, 5-4-6 in his last 6 full games.
It's not good.
Save percentage over those times, 897, 857, 852, 828, 636, and 786.
And that was the Winter Classic.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Peter Mrazek for basically a season and a half was, I would say, the best goaltender out of the bunch. And right now he is not. And it's Arvid Söderblom who is this whole season. I don't think a lot of people expected him to get this much ice time, but that's just where you're at with the injury situation to Laurent Brossoit. And he has stepped up. He's the best goaltender you got going forward. There's no question about that. So I'm the 3-1 ratio for starts. I don't think
it'll never happen.
Yeah, but I'm open.
It's what I would do though.
I'm open to doing every, 2-1. I'm open to doing that, and I think Andrew Sorensen would be. I think if you asked him point blank, maybe off the record, he'd admit it to be like, yeah, that's what we should be doing. But we'll see who comes out and plays against the Rangers.
How do you not go?
I don't know how you can't go Söderblom. He's been giving you the best opportunity to play, and it's not like you're not in a back-to-back situation. I know Sunday is an afternoon game, but you have a whole day tomorrow in between games. Like, I feel like that should be enough rest.
Yeah, and look, you can, if you want to ignore the Winter Classic because the sight lines were weird and whatever, fine, and the Hawks were so terrible in that game, fine, okay, I'll excuse that, but still, the 5 before that were still not good. And it's a possibility he's not 100%. I know he got upset with Ben Pope for suggesting such things on Twitter, but you don't look healthy.
Right, you're not not playing as if you're fully healthy.
Yeah, so I let him heal, give Söderblom the bulk of starts. I just don't like this simply because you're Peter Mrazek and you were really, really good last year and you were really good to start the season, that you just get to play every other game just because. I think it's a meritocracy. You've got to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to earn it. And I think when you talk about building a culture and you talk about building accountability, I don't think you can look at that team after Söderblom stops 38 of 40 Montreal shots. Many of them, what is the official high danger total for?
A lot of them were
22 high danger chances for the Canadiens in this game.
Yeah, I'd love to see what was his expected goals, because it had to be high.
Expected goals for Montreal is 4.8 at all strengths.
Yeah, so he basically saved you 3 goals tonight.
Yeah, like it's just you just can't put him in there just because he's a guy who was good a while ago. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I think that we could sort of now transition a little bit into the Reichel conversation, because I do think that Reichel has a legitimate beef in saying, well, wait a minute, why am I the one out? And you could say, like, no, Lukas Reichel is not producing. The numbers aren't there. Well, he's on the 4th line. It's not like he's getting opportunities with top 6 players. And I know, historically, him and Bedard have not had a lot of chemistry together. Fine, but they also haven't had any extended time together.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying throw him up there with Bedard and see how it goes for the rest of the season, but to have him on the 4th line, have him play pretty effectively, all things considered. In the Winter Classic, he had 3 shots on goal. He also forced a turnover that led to Taylor Hall's goal. He went rushing in, checked Justin Falk, who turned the puck over. I forget who the other defenseman was that then turned it over to Donato that led to the goal. But Reichel's aggressive forechecking led to that goal.
Yeah.
He was one of the few guys actually engaged in a Winter Classic game, and now he has to sit?
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right.
It feels like this is a veterans are going to play because they are being showcased situation, and they brought Colton Dach up to get him in and give him his reward for the way that he'd been playing this year. And the odd guy out was Reichel. I don't foresee that being the case going into maybe even the Rangers game. But I think as this season progresses over the next month, you're going to see not only Lukas Reichel get back into the lineup, back where he was with that 4th line group, but I also think you're going to see, because of movement with some of these veteran players, Reichel will get back in the lineup and will actually get a spot up the lineup. And I think that, he had done everything that you've been asking of him. He'd been playing aggressively. He kept him with that Maroon and Smith trio for the most part, and that was getting some good hockey out of him. But I think that kind of ran its course, and now you got to see if he can come back into the lineup, have a little extra jump in his game, and continue to play the way that he was when he was played on the 4th line, and bring that up the lineup. Don't just play that way because you're the best offensive option out of Maroon and Smith and himself. Do that because you can be the best offensive option if you're playing with Teravainen, or if you're playing with Taylor Hall, if you're playing with Connor Bedard. Like, go out there and have that confidence in yourself, and have that mentality of, like, I can do things. I don't have to defer to other people.
That's what I would like to see. And I don't know. I hope it's not going to just be this way until the deadline. Like, again, I get showcasing veterans. I get putting guys out there because, if a team's looking to make a trade, you're like, oh, this Craig Smith's been scratched 5 of the last 6 games. He must not be playing very well. I know they do more, the pro scouts do more than that, but, like, right. Boy, if you can't play for the Hawks, who can you play for? I'm ready now.
I don't
Start
think
moving some pieces now. What are we waiting for?
With the amount of guys that they have, that
even if it's one
that
though
could be moved, I don't think we're going to be waiting until March 1st before anything happens. Like, I definitely feel like before 4 Nations starts, I feel like we're going to have at least 1, if not 2 transactions. Because if Kyle Davidson, who when you sent me that clip of Chicklets talking about it, I initially I was just like, that doesn't sound like Davidson, like that he would do that.
I immediately rolled my eyes when I saw that.
I was skeptical to be like, I don't,
because the first part of that clip, we were watching them practice, and were you talking about they had like the breakaway chances, and it went on forever.
I can't speak to that specific time frame that they laid out, but I mean, it didn't seem like it was a Davidson type of move to kind of play that card of like, I'm gonna go in there and rip these guys. But if he did, and you're saying that he did, then I think that is a big signal to the veteran group of like, you gotta get your butts in gear. Like this, I don't know what you guys think you're gonna pull here. I brought you in here to play way better than that, and if you're expecting to, guys who are on expiring deals or whatnot, if you're expecting to move on to a contender, you have to play like you belong. Otherwise, I'm not gonna get anything for your sorry butts.
Right. I'll send you where I'm gonna get the best thing available.
Like
I'd love to send you to a contender, but if it's if it's not the contender come calling.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean that's good. If you have to play that card of the kick in the pants, it seemed out of character, but good on Davidson for being able to get in there and seemingly have an effect on these guys, because we went in there after the locker room opened up and talked with Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno, and those guys were
Taylor Hall was like
that's some of the most
oh my god
like downtrodden, I believe I'm using that term correctly.
Downtrodden?
Yeah. I've seen a professional athlete in a game that wasn't like a playoff loss.
So, yeah, we talked about this in the postgame a little bit. So, we walk into the Cubs locker room, and it's circular, but we kind of came in.
No logos on the floor.
No logo on the floor, exactly. And Taylor Hall is directly to the left of when you walk in. He was
the second stall in.
Yeah. So, I think I was in first of our group, me, you, and Emma, and I just saw the way he looked, and I immediately pulled up my recorder and was like, he's gonna say something.
Oh yeah,
like because we were kind of like, all right, we want to prioritize who is like, we knew Foligno was gonna go off.
Yeah, we split up.
Murphy always speaks his mind.
Yeah,
but over the last few months, I've really kind of grown fond of Taylor Hall as an interviewer, as an interview participant.
Well, he didn't have a lot of opportunity last year.
Yeah, but he'll tell you, and he's also great talking about the game too. Like he's kind of an historian, understands it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw him looking like he looked, I went right to him and was just like, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Mm-hmm. And he was so upset and so frustrated, and I don't know what we think we're doing out there. We're like, it's embarrassing. And boy, all the stuff we did was posted on social media. So and on our YouTube page if you want to go find it. But he was,
yeah.
I've not seen, like you said, I've not seen a room look like that. That's like a post Game 7 Stanley Cup final loss.
Yeah, it was as if like their season was over, and they could have felt that way. I think, and I think not that you had any. I would think you wouldn't have any delusions of like, oh, we're gonna turn it around, a la the 2019 Blues and go from last place to Stanley Cup champions. I don't think there's any delusions of that happening, but it's almost as if like this illusion of like we can figure it out and turn it around was like snapped in the Winter Classic game. So now it's like you turn the calendar over to 2025 and you just kind of go in and be like, all right, can we kind of clean slate it here and finish out this season with some efforts that you can be proud of? And if that's the case, like you're 1-0 in that regard, starting here. So that's a good way to move forward for this team. And tonight's effort, if they can replicate that most nights, I think you're gonna see the curve of the season go back up in the right direction. And again, not to say that it's going to completely turn a corner and they're going to get into the playoffs, but at least get back to where you're not dreading game day,
right?
And fans aren't looking for any little thing to jump down this team on. I mean, it seems like a small thing to ask, but it feels like something that if they get to that step, that's a big step.
And Chi-Town, just to kind of circle back, it says, I'm pissed Seth Jones didn't talk to the media after the Winter Classic. He should not be wearing an A. At no point was it ever said that he refused to speak to the media. We were told before the game ended, correct? Or maybe moments after the game ended, that maybe the following players will be made available.
Maybe I still have the message.
And they made a change. No one ever said that Seth Jones said he's not talking to the media. Again, he may have been getting treatment for an injury. It could have been a lot of things. So I'm just, again, this is what we're talking about, of always jumping to the worst possible thing. It's not always the worst possible thing. I'm not saying he didn't, but Seth Jones was there the day before. He's often there after really bad losses.
Yeah, he's answered after losses, honestly.
Maybe he went and had a conversation with Kyle Davidson.
It was the game before the Winter Classic, and he was in there just basically like, we sucked tonight.
Yeah.
Like he was honest. So the message was, before the game was over, we were told that it would be Foligno, Hall, Murphy, and Jones in the locker room after the game. I don't remember Murphy talking. Was he there?
I can't.
Or did we just not?
You know what? It was three of us.
Right.
So I can't confirm or if he was in, because I was with Hall, you were with Foligno, Emma was with Bedard. So by the time,
and there Connor Bedard spoke after the game, and we weren't told that he'd be available.
Exactly.
So, I mean, those kinds of things.
But we may have missed Murphy while covering the other guys.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he spoke exactly or not. But anyway,
such a busy day.
The point being that it's not
last year.
Don't always draw the worst conclusion. And I want to address another thing too. Lebowski5 said, "What if Elliot Friedman made up the story?" Elliot Friedman does not make up stories. Elliot Friedman is a capital J journalist. Like, he's not a guy who's going to generate a story for clicks. That's not what his job is. If he makes up a story, it actually hurts his credibility and hurts his career. Elliot Friedman's not going to make up a story. Ryan Whitney was the first guy to have the story. Obviously, those guys are always plugged in with players. Mm-hmm. Always plugged in with players. So that's a fact. I spoke to 3 separate sources that all confirmed that it happened. So it's not a made-up story. It happened. Kyle Davidson went in a room, and I don't know if he was throwing body armor and flipping tables and MFing everybody, but he went into that room and expressed his frustration with the game.
Yeah.
And that's what we know. That's what we know. And Goldust says, I hope Davidson chewed out Jones specifically. He's making as much as Taves and Kane after they brought us cups. He's not, actually. He's making $1 million less than those two. And he's on a bad team. I don't know. The Seth Jones thing will forever baffle me. I know everybody hates him. I just got to get over it. I think maybe I'll start ignoring it.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know. Outside of him winning a Norris, there's really nothing that's ever, and even then, I don't know if that's enough for some people. But I don't think there's any mind changing doing about Seth Jones as a Blackhawk.
All right, we got a couple super chats we got to get, but first, Tanver says Friedman doesn't need to make stuff up to grow his following or get people's attention. He already has the entire hockey world listening to him. Did you notice, like, when Elliot Friedman's around, people look at him with like reverence.
Yeah,
he is the number one. Now that Bob McKenzie's retired,
it's like being around Woj.
Yeah,
in the NBA,
exactly.
Well, not anymore, but
he is
even still
number one, the dude.
Yeah, and
when people like us see Elliot Friedman, it's a big deal.
Yeah, when he was at the game before the Winter Classic, in the locker room, I kind of was just like, oh, you know it's a big deal when he's around your team, and it's an honor that Jay and I were eating our pregame meal in the background of his Zoom call on Sportsnet. Thanks to I forget who it was, but someone screen grabbed it for us and said, "Hey, you guys are on his thing," and we're both like mid bite of our lunch. It was good. It was good claim to fame. But
found us in our natural habitat.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. I think that's. I don't got anything else to say. That's a good cap around that conversation.
I'm gonna take Joey Smith's $5. But I'll read his dumb comment if you want. I think we can all agree that we need to re-sign Kane since Bedard is a bust. We would never lose again. Let's go Hawks. Fire Derek King. I believe that's sarcasm.
It seems there's a lot of bit checkpoints in that super chat. So thanks, Joey.
It's hard to tell because a lot of Blackhawks experts suddenly came out of the woodwork after the Winter Classic loss.
Well, yeah, you're on the national stage and you get all your eyes, 920,000 of them, on the game, and all those people have opinions, especially some that have never had an opinion about the Blackhawks this season. Say, wow, this team sucks a lot of butt, and I'm going to make it known how much they suck. It's like,
how
okay.
much butt they suck. How much suck would a butt suck? It was butt suck, could suck butt. I'm actually impressed I pulled that off.
That was pretty good, yeah.
I'm gonna have a,
yeah, I mean, it's when
you're
the punching bag at the bottom of the league, like everyone gets a punch every now and then.
Yes, 100%. We got our 4-star winner, Sarah.
Punching bag days.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's Colton Dach. Look at that.
Ah, yes.
Why didn't he fight his brother?
He could have.
He should have.
That would. I asked him today, about making his NHL debut. Him and Kirby. A lot of the dream was that this debut for Colton would happen with him and Kirby on the same team. And I asked him, I was just like, it's well documented, you and Kirby's scuffles in at home. Any chance you guys, fight on the ice? And he was just like, I mean, if he wants to, but yeah, I imagine Mr. and Mrs. Dach, while watching the game, would not have appreciated that on that night. But yeah, I mean, what a debut, short of getting his first NHL point for Dach, and I feel like he's definitely out to have another performance like that against the Rangers on Sunday.
We'll see. Quote here before we wrap up from Nick Foligno post-game, this via Ben Pope. Quote, "We left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, ourselves mostly, in how we played in that Winter Classic. We want to make sure we're proud of the brand of hockey we're putting out there. We had an honest conversation yesterday about how disappointed we were with the way we've been playing. I'm really proud of every guy for stepping up tonight." That's Nick Foligno.
Great.
And that's really all the quotes I see rolling out as of now. They did send post-game, but we're not with Anders Sorensen. There's not always a lot to say.
Nick Foligno on Arvid Söderblom, again from Ben Pope, says, "You don't want to rely on them too much, but you need your goalies to make big saves. Other teams' goalies do against us. He was a big difference maker for us tonight." Yep, absolutely. Again from Ben Pope, who's cranking out these quotes. Colton Dach said Kirby told him to stay on his feet after he drew the penalty in the first period. Quote, "My number one goal for the first shift was to go out there and try to be physical. Dickey set the tone the first shift, and it fed right through to the end of the game."
All right, there you have it. All right, $2 super chat from Joey Smith clarifying that, yes, that was sarcasm.
There we go.
He says, "I'm not that dumb." We'll see, Joey.
Just checking, Joey.
We'll be the judge of that. No, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. All right, we are going to be back Sunday. Hawks play at 2, so we'll be back after the game. No pregame. It's a home game, so we'll talk to you as soon as the Hawks and Rangers wrap up. Should be a good time. Want to remind you before we go, become a diehard at ALLCITY.com. You may have noticed we've been writing a ton lately. That's going to continue. And if you want access to everything we write, you've got to be a diehard at ALLCHGO.com. Do it. Not only do you get access to all of our great written content and our members-only Discord, and I promise I will do something in the Discord next week. What I'm going to do? I'm going to put the Discord app on the front page of my phone so I remember to open it more often.
That's what I did. I got it on my phone.
Yeah, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
My phone tells me that I touch it and open my screen 1,000 times a day, so there's no excuse for me not to go into Discord.
Promise I will do something on the Discord next week. But you get a free shirt or hat upon sign up, or $35 off a hoodie. So make sure you take advantage of that, and 20% off all of our events, takeovers, watch parties. The Bulls takeover sold out. Hawks and Knicks. Bulls and Knicks on Derrick Rose night tomorrow. I hope you're going. If you're a diehard, you saved $100 on that event. If you're going to our top shelf takeover against Carolina,
January
you saved $80 per ticket for being a diehard. Do it. It pays for itself over a very short amount of time, and most importantly, it helps keep us going. And speaking of keeping us going, a lot of people mentioning Greg in this show, especially with the Rangers on the horizon. Greg has started a new Substack. Go find him on Twitter. Go subscribe to his Substack. He's bringing you great Hawks content as well, and we will continue to support and lift up our friend Greg. But the more Substack subscribers he gets, the better. So help him out. If you miss him, throw him a couple bucks a month. It all goes a long way. So do that, and we'll talk to you after Sunday's Hawks-Rangers game right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
we all silly like the mayor.